Welcome to the OHB podcast. My name's Jav.
Mike.
We're going to talk about the importance of hiring for your online fitness coaching business, your health business, your nutrition business. And I think it's something that gets overlooked. It's one of those areas that, like, I don't know, for me, felt hard to kind of give away parts. I felt like I was giving away parts of my business. So I know a lot of coaches struggle with it. So I want to kind of go through some of the things that I've experienced, Michael's experienced, and give you some strategies in regards to what you can do to make sure you're hiring good talent and make the most out of it. So yeah, man. Do you remember what your first actual hire was in your coaching business?
First hire. I believe that it was the VA. It was a VA, but it was a setter. VA setter. So it's when we started working with, it probably was our third mentor or something, you know. Maybe we'll do a big reveal one day where we just name drop all the mentors basically. But yeah, it was with them, and they remember their strategy. A big part of it was like you need 2 setters, VA. So I think that was the first thing, you know.
Yeah, because the strategy was like to make sure you had someone around the clock, innit?
Around the clock as much as possible, I don't think I had anyone before that. I think that I did little freelance things every so often, but no, I didn't have any actual sales. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think that was my first one as well, when they were explaining us like how to get the VAs from the Philippines and what they can do, giving them SOPs and all the frameworks. That was like the first time. To be honest, that mentorship really opened the eyes to like, delegating. I don't think we was thinking on that level before we got into that mentorship. Before it was just Instagram and DMs, innit? Like, do it yourself. It was just do it yourself.
Yeah, no, one thing about that mentorship was, like you said, it opened my mind to to like an abundant way of thinking. So there could have been more coaching around that thinking, but it was very much like, just pay for this software. And it's like, all right, this software is maybe 50 quid a month, 60 quid a month. And you're thinking, that's I'm not going to make. Like, don't worry, man, you'll make loads of money back. So you don't even think about it because it's just like, no, just spend that. And then this is going to help you make money and then you're good. And it was the same way with hiring. It was like, hire these, you got to hire this person. So it was good. It was actually good for that because it kind of took you out of a stingy, scarcity kind of mindset where you do everything yourself, you hoard the money, you're scrambling, but you're not really growing, you're stagnant.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like you see that a lot now with coaches because they don't know about the importance of hiring and many times, like we said it before, but like coaches there was a guy you mentioned, you called him out about like not even wanting to hire an assistant coach.
Yeah, man. Not even hire an assistant coach, bro. It was a fitness coach from the Philippines to just do his programs for him because he was proper overwhelmed, whatever. So I was like, we can get someone to do it for 50 quid, bro. For 50 quid. And just and he was like, I don't really know about 50 quid, about paying someone 50 quid. I'm thinking, mate. But to be honest with you, I just think that was that person, innit? Because since then, the type of people we work with now, when we kind of show them, they'll pay an extra 200, 300 if they know that this is going to save them time and money. So it's just the type of where that person's at in life, you know?
Yeah. So with that being said then, like, in your opinion, when it comes to online coaches that are like trying to scale and grow, like to make this practical, I think what would you say would be like your first 3 hires? Let's say you're trying to scale, you want to get a little bit further. And rank it in order of importance. Then I'll say my version.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm going to cheat because I actually made a document for this. Do I made a document for this. I don't even mind sharing the screen as well and just going through it. That's probably going to be, should we do that? Give them a little bit of a gem?
Give them a sneak peek.
Cool. So, all right, I made this and start from scratch hiring plan, yeah?
Okay.
So it's actually too much game. It's too much game to give away, but I'm just going to run through it. I'm going to run through the basics. So my first thing would be a fitness assistant VA, yeah? I'll stop sharing and explain it for everyone. The reason I do that is because it doesn't matter how qualified you are, it doesn't matter how much you think you know, there's probably someone that knows more. Do you know what I mean? And I think one of the most tedious things and time wasting things like for coaches when you start and you don't even realize it's the programming. Because think about it, it's your vision that helps the client. It's not the actual manual labor of going into Trainer Rise, creating the program, doing this, doing that, and a third. You know what I mean? Or drawing up nutrition plans. And even down to check-ins, like there's a way you can, you know, kind of get some extra help, like from an assistant fitness VA. So for me, that would be the first hire. Get somebody from the Philippines or wherever who's super qualified to basically join your team and do the program and the coaching, because then that's going to just free a bunch of your time, right? And then I say /VA because what I would do is either use the same person or hire someone else to do some admin work. Do you get me? Because now what we're doing, we're thinking higher level, we're buying back time. So I'm using the 80-20 rule to say that there's 20% of tasks that you do in the business that make you the most money, right? Especially when you first start. What's that 20%? Probably the DM setting and the, you know, just booking calls and making sales, taking sales calls, right? So essentially, you need to get really good at that and you need to do that in abundance. So everything else you want to really like offload to somebody else. So that's what my first couple hires would be. Then I would get a commission-based setter, DM setter, and then a head coach, right? So my reasoning behind that, I won't go too deep into it because obviously people pay us good money for a reason. But a commission-based setter, I would basically hire them next because now it's like, all right, the lead flow. So there should be a decent lead flow now. So with that decent lead flow, and also I should have, you know, created a system that works. So my content should be banging and bringing in, you know, a decent amount of people and, you know, making my DM conversations warm. I should have good, like, not scripts, but a kind of idea of how I like to take conversations from A to B. And I should have a decent bit of social proof, right? So all this will allow me to teach a setter how I like things to be done for them to, you know, match the amount of calls that I can book in the DMs. So then I can focus on the marketing, right? And the actual sales calls. Because that's the next problem that happens. The bottleneck is that if you, you know, you start booking loads of sales calls, but then when you're on sales calls, you can't really set like that. Do you know what I mean? And run the business as well. You ain't got the time to do it. So it's just like, this yin and yang balancing game. So I would then start looking at a setter, training them, improving my leadership skills. And then the last thing I'll do is a head coach. Because the reason that we know why we get a head coach, assistant coach, success coach, whatever you want to call it, is because that's the last thing out of all those things that we've delegated in the business that you're still going to be doing. You're still going to be doing a lot of communication with clients. So as your client base grows 20, 30, 40 people or whatever, you still have to have that one-to-one element of it's like, it's all about you and so on and so forth. So now when you've got the head coach, the success coach, boom, this is another person you can kind of intertwine with a brand, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's a lot of game I just gave over. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I have to cut it out. You don't need to appreciate it.
And you know what, with the success coach as well, the benefit of that is essentially the branding element. You give them authority so that they actually take part in the program. So it's not reliant on you anymore. So even though you're the face of the brand, you need to incorporate them. Like, shout outs to Maya. She does it quite well. Like,
you know what? That was exactly what was on my brain, you know. I was going to say the exact same thing.
And even the coach she had before, she always intertwines them in her content.
Exactly. So you start to fall in love with them as well. And then it's like, it's not all about her. So you don't mind if she takes the webinar this week. You don't mind if she's active in the group chat. And you don't even notice when May is a little bit, you get me? So I like that, man. It's always a good little.
You know, if you get the right person on board, you can, like, depending on how you set up your agreements with them, you can use their profile for appointment setting, booking calls, sales, and then now you've got another channel or another platform to now make more sales. So there's so many things there. But I would actually have it a little bit differently to you in terms of importance. It might just be because of the way that I coached, but I would actually have, before I get like the ghost coach or like the person to make the programs, I would actually have the appointment set up first. But it might just be because I really started to dislike the appointment setting aspect of online coaching. So I think I want to delegate that first, because the way that I like to set up the programs was I didn't really edit them much anyway. Like it was minimal editing. So I just felt like all I needed someone to do was more of like the check-ins, and because I found check-ins a bottleneck. So that's where I was like, I'll flip the first two basically for me.
You know what? It's just that I know a lot of coaches, yeah. So if you're listening to this, your online coach, that's one of the first things that people want to do as well. Like they want to delegate over the setting. Because like you said, it's just a relatable thing. A lot of people don't like the DMs, but a lot of people mention this, that you mentioned about giving away parts of your business, right? So it's like, that's the money maker in it. There's like 2-3 money makers of your business, right? So if you delegate them even just a tiny bit too early, you're in trouble, because there's no sales calls, there's no this is problem. And I've seen this happen to a few of our clients before, where they get excited, they get a setter, commission based. They're just cool. They're just like, yeah, I made it now. I'm just chilling, whatever. And they're like, oh, I haven't really been booking that many calls recently. And it's like, brother, what do you think? Like, you thought it was going to be happy days? No, you need to train this. And that's probably what we can move on to next. It's like being a good leader and actually training, which I had a lot of issues with. I'm not going to lie, when I first started.
Let's stick it with the setters, yeah, because this is a big thing, yeah. And obviously I've had a lot of calls this week. Like hiring from the Philippines or Thailand or India versus UK based or Europe or American based. What's your opinion? Because I know that there's some people out there who just say, get the Philippine VA, boom, boom.
Train them up. That was our first mentor.
How do you differentiate like the two? What would you say?
So, listen, I would say this, yeah. You always got to understand yourself. That's the number one thing, right? Every person, everyone, every coach, you need to look at your current situation. And when I say that, I mean financially. I mean, what's coming in right now, money-wise? What do you have? Like, what situation you're in? And basically, when you're honest about your current financial situation, you can be resourceful if you need to be resourceful. So if you need to be resourceful, then what you need to do, you're obviously going to need to get a Philippine VA, someone from another country, and be very good at training them. Now, if I was going back, like obviously having built a relationship with Alice is our success coach, I would probably look into striking a good deal with them quite early on, and seeing what I can do then, and then even just giving my leadership as well. Although they do a lot of stuff themselves, I would still want part of the leadership of that. And I'll probably have a combination, which now we offer on the OHB, where you've got a combination. It's quite unique. You've got a combination of a UK-based setter, and then you've got a VA setter as well. So the setter does some like opening of the conversation. So that's what I would say. But if I was starting from scratch or starting up on online coaching and the finances wasn't very right, I would start off with a Philippines VA, but I would hire really well and get someone who's really good quality, and I would share the task with them. So I'll get them to save loads of my time, and I'll just be closing the calls. I'll just be bringing people on calls.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that, and that kind of leads to the coaching or training them, because I think one of the things that causes issues with the Philippine VAs is that coaches think that, I can just sign a VA from the Philippines and they're going to do everything at the level that you want to. Bro, they're going to start sending messages to your family. Sometimes they don't even read the message that someone sent, and they're just like, oh, so do you want to book a call? And like someone could be saying, I just recovered from cancer, Like, oh, do you want to book a call? Like, there's no empathy. Like, they're just thinking about, and the thing is, it's like a pro and a con with the Philippines VAs, because they do listen to you. Like, they actually listen to you, but they listen like to the T almost. So it's like, you give them a script and it's like, they literally follow the script, which is
robotic,
which is good and bad at the same time. So that's why, I had a great call with a coach this week. She didn't sign up, unfortunately. She's missing out. But you speak to them once a month, and you're getting 2 calls once
a who?
Once a month.
She should be grateful for them 2 calls. She should be grateful, bro. Once a month is when you speak to the VA. That's some nuts.
You got to train them. I think if you got a Philippine VA or Pakistani, Indian, whatever, you've actually got to train them every day for like the first month. You got to be overkill.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because because what you have to understand is that it's not even just a language barrier. When you look at another country, yeah, like for example, Spanish, yeah, the Spanish language is like English backwards. And a lot of countries are like that, like they talk backwards, back to front. So the whole culture, the way they talk, everything is just different. It's just a different thing. So you're teaching somebody a whole way of thinking, grammar. Do you know, like UK humor it's just different. It's even different to like US humor. Do you know what I'm saying? So it is like you said, yeah, it's got to be like every day. But that doesn't mean you need to, what's the word? Like talk to them, train them for an hour every day or 2 hours. Obviously, we've grown off over years and time. We know how to train the VAs in an efficient way where it might be 20 minutes a day, it might be 30 minutes, it might be less some days. But you get the most bang for your buck, you know?
And I think that obviously the more you train them, the better they become anyway. So
yeah,
it's less pressure.
How did you find training? How did you find that? Because I have a mad story with the whole VA stuff when we first started. Like, how did you even find that when we first started hiring the VAs?
I'm not going to lie, I had some really good VAs, but I also had periods where the VAs were coming and going. And it was because I didn't have like my standards. My standards weren't right. I didn't really know, like I had good standards for myself, but I didn't know how to implement those standards for the VAs. I didn't have SOPs. So I think when I was taught how to like implement SOPs, that really helped. But like I had two really, really solid VAs from the Philippines and but I overworked them. So I made them schedule content, edit content, write captions, and do DMs. I used to meet with them once a week. Probably could have did a bit more on the meeting side, but I used to meet with them once a week. And you see how you mentioned doing like the half and half? I would still do half and half.
Yeah.
So I never fully let go of that task properly.
Okay.
But they did a lot of conversation starting, and one of them was really good. She would actually book calls. So for me, I found it all right. I think that I had issues with more hiring fitness coaches. That was probably my biggest issue, because I had like a very, I don't know, the way that I used to do the programs were quite complicated. And even when I was making SOPs for it, I was like, I need to simplify this. Sometimes doing the SOPs helps you notice the flaws in your processes as well.
Your processes, yeah. Yeah. No, you know what it is, yeah? I think that hiring VAs, it's like it started off okay. Was making money, making sales and so on and so forth. And I think that I did delegate a bit too much. I think I over-delegated. I kind of like left them, and I was that coach that kind of got relaxed, and I would have meetings. But you know what? I think that it was just, I found it complicated, if I was honest with you, and I think I didn't do enough learning enough and so on and so forth. So I wasn't a great leader, truth be told, with the VAs. So it would just get to like too much for me. So I'm thinking like, these VAs ain't really making me money. Like I'm not making that. Should I say it? And I got like 2 VAs, and I might be paying them like 200, like between 200 and 400 each. Because remember, there was times where we was having them like full time kind of thing. So yeah, man, I think since then, since that first time of hiring those VAs, I did a lot of like just like learning about like leadership. And I think that I dove into that because that's what I do. When I've got a weakness, I dive into it. And yeah, since then I've learned that, all right, cool. This is how you approach something. This is how you simplify it. This is how you lead someone well. Like, do you get what I mean? You can't just let them like say, all right, you're hired, do all of this for me, and then that's it. And then when they don't deliver it, you're pissed at them. It's kind of like it's your fault. You know what I mean? It's always your fault. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
It's called Extreme Ownership by Will Jacko, something like that, the military guy. I can't remember his name. It's a good book though. I read it, and it explains about that. Like, at the end of the day, everything's your fault, bro. Everything's your fault. A client leaves you, is your fault, bro. Like, as much as you don't want to accept it, and they might be a difficult client. Everything's your fault. Everything's your fault, bro. Because somewhere in the process,
That's how you learn better.
yeah, that's how you learn better. Somewhere in the process, there was a flaw that you had in there. But that leads me to another thing, yeah. And I don't want this to all be about setters, but actually, it's a big thing for online coaches, especially when you're trying to scale. What do you think about using the like appointment setting agencies or companies? You know them people that they bring you the appointment setters? Because I've done that before, and I've had some crap experiences with those.
They bring, yeah, I think we had that one as well. There's a few different ones that we've had, man. Nah, I really and truly, I don't know, man. The only person that I can see is like Alice that kind of does that in a way, profit setters. So obviously we can vouch because I know that I think the reason I can kind of vouch for her is because she'll go hands-on and do it herself if she need to. And that's how she kind of built it. So her and her partner, they are kind of hands-on, and then they got like a small team that do it themselves. So they're not really, but what a lot of the agencies do is like, they're just the middlemen. They're just extreme middlemen. And they're like, I do this training and I've got this course or whatever, and then I've got all the setters and then I deliver them to you. So yeah, personally, I haven't had the best experience with it. I'm honest with you, man. What about yourself?
I had one when I was even doing fitness, but from India, or it might be Pakistan. And they basically said, yeah, we'll come in, we're going to book you 20 calls a week or whatever. And just like,
I remember this, you know.
And I just
Go on.
I just gave it away. I was like, yeah, let's do it. But luckily, I did it on like a trial thing. So I was like, all right, we'll do a trial, boom, boom, boom. And bro, it was just like, the person couldn't even speak English properly. Like I had all the SOPs, because these times now I'm doing SOPs and I've got like my scripts, but I'm explaining, yo, don't be robotic. Don't do this, don't do that. They're not clocking on. They're not clocking on. And luckily I didn't sign anything. I don't think I even paid. Then I was just like, nah, I ain't doing this. So that kind of put me off using those kind of people. I've still flirted with the idea because I think sometimes it's good to just let someone else manage it. But I think if you do it too early,
That's
like
a good
you said,
topic, bro.
yeah,
That's a good topic because it's still on the topic of hiring. I don't think I'm a big fan of agencies, bro. I don't think I'm a big fan of agencies altogether. I think that companies that come along and they have they preach the whole, we'll just take it completely off your hands. I don't think it's never really, I don't think we haven't really had a good what's it called, just time with those sort of things. We haven't got experience. The only thing I would say is with Facebook ads, Danny Allen page, I think that was a good experience. And I think because even with that, it was a case of learning for ourselves. So more so we're paying to learn it at a higher level. So I think you can do that whole thing where you just get someone to, all right, I'll just take over everything, I'll do whatever. But usually I just think the agency model within itself is very hard to keep up. And unless you bring something really big to the table, the fulfillment of that on the agency side usually kind of falls through. So unless you're like a big influencer or you're paying them a lot of money, the agency, whoever it is that is going to hire these people for you and do it all for you, it usually falls through, man. What would you say about that?
I think the learning aspect is really the key factor, because for us, like when it comes to certain things like ads, I think appointment setting is a bit different. It's different because you don't want, like, firstly, you need to get good at it yourself. When you're good at it yourself,
Exactly.
you know what to look for. So you don't really need to hire the agency to learn. I think it's better to have the one-to-one contact with the person doing the setting.
Yes, yeah, same. Because it's you. How can someone teach someone to be you? Like, it's a middleman. It's a middleman.
That's the problem, basically. Because the reality is, I think when it comes to online coaching is, and I watched a good video the other day, you actually have to forget about coaching. And it's literally, you got to get your CEO hat on, you got to get your sales manager hat on and think from that angle. And it's hard to do because you're just thinking, I'm a coach, I help people get results. But you've got to think, like, how do high level businesses work? They have meetings based on KPIs. They look at metrics. You know, they look at numbers, they become very analytical. And like, even over the last month and a half, like I always thought to myself, yeah, I'm a numbers person, but I've just ramped it up another 10% because I'm like, actually, I need to dive into the weeds of the numbers. Like, what's really going on here? I'm diagnosing things on a deeper level. And you need to kind of do that for the fitness business. And it's hard, but once you get used to it, it's almost like, I see it as like a game now. I've got to hit these numbers. I want 80 calls this month. What do I actually have to do to get to 80 calls this month? Like, but yeah, I think obviously the hiring side of things, even the small hires as well, like video editing, the fact that, you know, some coaches, they're still editing their own videos when they're already making 2-3K per month. I know it feels like a mad expense, but if you get an editor to just do like an extra 10 to 15 videos for you, that's saving you hours, man. Because then you can focus on money generated tasks.
I think that's the key, man. Like, well, what I was saying at the beginning is that when we first got introduced to hiring, it was a step into the abundant mentality. And that's how I look at it now. Like, it's like you got the $100 an hour tasks and $10 an hour tasks. And people even go for, say, $1,000 an hour tasks. Do you know what I mean? And 10,000 hour, 10,000 an hour dollar tasks or whatever. So yeah, it's just stepping into a new realm where it's like you're not hoarding your money. You're not thinking, all right, I get all this money, then that's it. It's like, all right, cool. Who can I pay to take time or to give me more time? Because time is literally money. Like that is even worth more than money. But your time is the real asset. So you can use that to do the highest level task possible. So, you know, whichever way you do it, you need to sit back, have some real consultation with someone at a higher level and look at what hires you need to make where you're at to start like flying, you know?
Yeah. And even just to kind of round things up, like I put it on my story yesterday morning. I was just walking back from a run. I'm like, something in my mind was like, I'm going to chat to ChatGPT real quick. And I was like, what are the traits of millionaires? And one of the top 6 traits they put was they value their time over money. So, and you know, they always say, I always say to myself, if I want to become a 7-figure business owner, I've got to start acting like a 7-figure business owner. What do, bro? They're not sitting there editing their own videos. They're focusing on a higher level task. So if you're an online coach and you want to scale, then you need to start thinking about the key hires that you can make. Obviously, don't hire too early. Don't, you know, you can't run before you walk, but you got to start thinking about those high level tasks, man, and what you can delegate to help you move the business forward, because it is a business. It's not just you. And that's really going to help you get there. So yeah, any last words?
Yeah, do it properly. Whatever you do, how you do one thing's how you do everything. So whether it's hiring, I hired and I lost a bit of money, but I could have thought of it like, hiring is no good. I'm not going to hire no more. But no, it's how I did it. And I take ownership of that. And now we hire people all the time. And we have we've got great hires now. We've got great full-time members now, like Alice and George. So yeah, man, you got to do things properly. If you don't know how to do it, reach out. That's what we're here for. And also, I'm going to give away that document. Everyone who comments below, or should I just a select few?
No, comment below, because we need some engagement.
Comment below hiring. Comment below hiring, and I'm going to send that over to you personally.
Listening on Spotify or Apple, DM us, because you can't comment.
No, go to YouTube and comment. Don't go to the YouTube thing and comment if you're on Spotify.
Cool. The OHB podcast, over and out. Peace.